Let's get physical. It's Jordan here, back in with this week's episode and all the physical releases coming to the Switch the 12th until the 16th of August. Two things before I start. Firstly, I would like to apologize to all cat owners out there. Apparently my bewilderment of the popularity of Cat Quest 3 hurt a few people quite deep. I'm sorry, I like cats. Secondly, due to the low amount of games this week, we're also going to be doing a double feature. The first part are this week's games, and the second part are the upcoming imports that you may want to keep an eye on. Harvest Moon One World Complete Edition is releasing in North America this week. This is a budget price release of a game that came out quite a few years back. It's not even the latest Harvest Moon game, that was Winds of Anthos or something, which was considered much better than this one. But what do I know, I haven't played a Harvest Moon game ever. I've only played the Story of Seasons games, the proper ones. This contains all the DLC, including the new area and 2 new marriage options, and of course some customization stuff. The Last Faith is a Metroidvania Souls-like, because of course it is. Where's the deck building, eh? Anyways, this looks absolutely gorgeous. It might be one of the best looking pixel games I've ever seen. Huge detailed sprites, nice gory animation. I might even be asked to play it. It's obviously taken a lot of inspiration from Bloodborne, but now in 2D. Of course, the Switch and gaming in general is awash with games like this, but I really think this one will stand out. And our executive producer, Instacritic, has chosen this as his pick of the week. And if you want to purchase either of these or any retail game, then please consider using the links in the description. You can buy from VGP, fantastic way to support me because they have good prices in cheap Canadian money. They have free worldwide shipping if you purchase something over 80 Canadian bucks. They have lots of good stuff over there. Plus, if you buy something with my link, then each week you'll be put into a draw with a chance of winning a $10 discount coupon. And this week's winner is Nicole C. Congratulations, Nicole. You should get an email from VGP if you haven't already with your discount coupon. Thank you so much for your support. Alright, the low print releases. There's only one this week. Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition is limited runs game this week. This is a game I'd never actually heard of until making this video, but apparently this was a mildly popular boomer shooter in the mid-90s on PC, but last year was when it first appeared on a home console. This is based on the original version, not the milquetoast remake that appeared a decade ago. Looks pretty cool, I guess. Maybe better for those who are looking for a dose of nostalgia. You can pre-order this right now. In terms of imports this week, there is nothing aside from this. I think it's in Japan or is it in Korea? I can't remember. One of these, but it doesn't have English. We will be getting this next year. But yes, now it's time to move on. Yes, already we are moving on to the upcoming imports. These are games that are not releasing this week. These are upcoming imports. Imports that are designed to get our mouths watering. Or is it just me? There's quite a lot to get through. And of course, as always, things can change. Maybe they won't be exclusives by the time they come out. Maybe a Western release will be announced between now and then. Just something to keep an eye on. But if you do want to pre-order, then please consider using the Play Asia links. As always, you can get 5% off these pre-orders with the code Jordan24. All of these games mentioned here have English unless I specifically state otherwise. River City Saga 3 Kingdoms next. Yes, River City Saga 3 Kingdoms is finally getting a sequel where we can see the end of the story. See how does Guan Yu somehow cheat death and make it to Wuzhang Plains. The original game is one of my favorite imports. I like 3 Kingdoms, I like the Kunio-kun games for the most part, and even better, this second game is more accessible now since the Japanese version will also have English and is super cheap. It's like $20 to pre-order. Ikki Unite, apparently, this game is based off a Japanese Kusoge Famicom, but they're leaning in on the joke of it being bad. Anyways, this is a Vampire Survivors wannabe, except it can be played online with a dozen people at a time, which is kinda unique, I guess. There's gonna be a standard and collector's edition. Rabi-Ribi is a Metroidvania style game, a little older, even older than the Switch itself, but it is a well-loved indie game. Non-linear gameplay, loads of boss battles and customization. from a visual standpoint, you'd expect it to be like a cheap eShop game or something like that, but no, it's actually a really good game, and the upcoming Japanese release comes with a big box soundtrack on a USB stick, a cloth and a card, and it looks really good. AMEDAMA is a very promising looking game. This was literally just announced as I was writing this episode. It looks fantastic in my opinion, with a PS1 style fuzz on the character models, and the great thing about this is that you don't have a body, so you have to steal other people's and you have to control them. I really can't wait for this one when it releases in November. Sushi Shot plus 3 kinds of special set is a quad pack of sushi based games. Simple but enjoyable eShop fodder now on a cartridge. You get 2 versions of Sushi Shot, the normal one and then the online competitive one. This is basically a reverse the watermelon game, you know what I'm talking about. The other 2, well, one is a stacking game and the other, I'm delighted to say, is a kart racing game with sushi. How can you say no to that for $23? Tetsudou, Nippon, Rosen, Tabi, EX, Tozan, Densha, Odakyu, Hakone-hen, Choo-choo. This hype train, oh yes, the hype train is almost arrived at physical station. Japan has many train games, but this is only the second one that has English on the cartridge. I wonder if this is also one of those 3DS games that somehow managed to sneak on the Western 3DS store. Either way, if you're into trains, September will be the time to whip out your special controller once again. And our executive producer, Brent McLean, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Brave Dungeon W Pack should have English, even if PlayAsia don't mention languages as of yet. The Japanese eShop versions, they all have English, so unless there's some bullshittery ahoy, we should be good. Now what's interesting about this is that it's basically, you know, remember that really obscure B-side games release of Brave Dungeon and Dark Witches Story Combat, the double pack? You remember? No? I do. But now they've added an extra game to it, and it's going to be more widely available at retail, or it will be in September. Now this contains Brave Dungeon's sequel, Brave Dungeon: The Meaning of Justice. So that's like 3 JRPGs in one, not like big budget or anything, but like 3DS eShop JRPGs, if that sets the scene for you. There's a standard edition, as well as a collector's edition, which includes an art book, a soundtrack CD. For some reason, PlayAsia don't have any more stock of the standard edition. It's kind of a bit weird. Maid of the Dead is a simple, fun arcade action game that just so happens to star big booby maids with machine guns fighting zombies. Cathartic, brainless fun as you mow down the hordes and unlock saucy CGs of the fine maids. This is releasing very soon. Probably a bit more expensive than it should be for the product, but you know, when you've got boobs on the cover, that's just how it is sometimes. And our executive producer Ishin has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Hookah Haze is another cultured game of sorts. It's a visual novel where you are dying. You're terminally ill, so how do you want to spend your final days? In a bar, smoking stuff with big booby anime girls. It's what we all would do, even the straight ladies, okay? Just admit it. This is only releasing in Asia. I don't believe there's a release date for it as of yet, but it's coming exclusively in a mini collector's edition, which includes a soundtrack download and acrylic character set. And our executive producers, Feig and JCrod7776, have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Daymare 1994 Sandcastle is an upcoming import exclusive. If you remember, I actually talked about this when it got its Western release. Well, when it was supposed to, since it never actually showed up. I feel betrayed by the endless placeholder dates, and just when I thought it really was gonna release, it never did. It's like a date not showing up, and I'm standing at the bus stop with a bunch of flowers, crying for hours in the rain. That may be over the top, because just like relationships, there's always another option, and this time it's Japanese, which makes it better. It's actually properly releasing in Japan in September in a standard and collector's edition. Touhou Danmaku Kagura Fantasia Lost is a rhythm game mixed with bullet hell gameplay, which sounds like literal hell for me. Is it a requirement that every Touhou game must have bullet hell stuff in it? I know it's part of like the main gameplay, but is there any Touhou game out there that's just like, you know, Cooking Mama, where a million beef chunks don't fly into the stew? You don't need to avoid them? I don't know what I'm talking about. This is releasing in September. Umamusume Pretty Derby Party Dash. I hate saying that, but I'm looking forward to it because it looks like a party game that has fun and personality within it. It's not cold, calculated soullessness like most modern party games. It's got anime girls doing sports stuff and maybe playing Magikarp Splash. Fingers crossed. And this is coming in a standard and collector's edition in both Japan and Asia. The Japanese deluxe edition comes with DLC, a block set figure, and a special pouch and art book. Card-en-Ciel. I am ever more confident we'll have English since, I've mentioned this before. Why am I more confident? Well, even though the Japanese version still has not mentioned languages, the Asian version, which was recently announced, definitely does have English, and I think the Japanese version is a very safe bet. Anyways, this is one for fans of the Mega Man Battle Network games. The limited edition comes with an art book, soundtrack CD, and acrylic keychain. Recollite is a short, sweet adventure game, only about 3 hours long, but very atmospheric as you enter into a town that's always dark and you want to help out the locals. There's a bit of a mystery about all of it, and reviews are very positive, but is it worth importing for 3 hours? That's up to you. Contra Operation Galuga. Limited Run took pre-orders for this in North America already. In Europe, it is a code in a box, but Japan and Asia are getting a physical release in early September, so not long to go. As far as reception to this one goes, I think most people were fairly positive about it, if not overly enthused, but at least it's like much better than the last Contra game. RIKI 8-bit game collection is one I was reluctant to talk about over on Physical Paradise due to no indication of languages, but after closer inspection of the trailer, I'm convinced it seems mostly in English by default, and language is probably not necessary to begin with. I think I'm too old to understand the appeal of this. You get 2 very simple NES style games along with 3 music albums on like NES chiptune stuff. I don't know. The limited edition includes art book, a desk pad, and a soundtrack CD. The Alchemist of Ars Magna is a mix of RPG, visual novel, and item crafting. On Steam, it's actually a mature rated game with a patch to include the naughty stuff. Yeah, it's one of those games. But of course, the Switch version won't have the naughty stuff in it. Apparently it's been butchered out rather than delicately removed, so without it, some of the story will make less sense in parts, but you know, that can happen. There's a standard and collector's edition. Alright, here we go guys. Hokkaido Rensa Satsujin Ohotsuku ni Kiyu Tsuyoku no Ryuyo Namida no Nippopo Ningyo. Hey, I nailed it. I believe this is a remake of a Famicom adventure game. Very old school, but I'm very much looking forward to playing it. I really like these style of games, even if they don't make much sense in terms of like game logic, at least most of the older ones that I played, but still, apparently this also includes the Famicom version of the game as well, alongside the remake. It's releasing in September and has English. Anno Mutationum is a super stylish action game with fantastic world building and lots of attention paid to the story. This is my kind of indie game, I'm telling you. I mean, I don't really like indie games that much, to be honest. Sorry to break it to you, but this is how indie games should be done. Limited Run did do this in North America, but this upcoming Japanese version will be a fantastic way to go, and I'm happy I'll be able to pick it up. And our executive producers, Viz and God of Resin, have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop is another one Limited Run have taken pre-orders for in North America. In fact, they are still open at the time of making this video. You can still pre-order it there, but for me, the uncensored cover of the Japanese version, the cheaper price of it, makes it a better option in my opinion. And our executive producers, Cartoon Soren and Punky Dooster, have chosen this as their pick of the imports. Clock Tower Rewind, might as well stick with the game's limited run of them. Pre-orders for this one have closed, however. This is a remaster, or maybe an enhanced port of the Super Nintendo classic point-and-click horror game. Personally, I prefer the artwork for this Japanese and Asian release since it's more in line with the original game, and I'm not a fan of the faux anime-style cutscenes they've added to this new release, so for me, this is a much better option. And our executive producer, Lewis K, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Shogun Showdown is releasing in Japan at the end of October. This is a turn-based combat game that's got roguelike mechanics and, of course, Deck building. Please wait a moment while I scream into my pillow. Anyways, my weirdness aside, this has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and I'd be super surprised if it didn't get a Western physical since it is extremely popular. Under Defeat was literally just announced for a physical in Japan in December. There's been no mention of languages as of yet. I don't think it's massively important though. Of course, this could also get a Western physical. I think plenty of companies would be lining up to publish this cult classic PS3 shooter. In fact, I think it was first on the Dreamcast, but you know, the HD version. The Japanese version is coming in a standard and collector's edition, which includes a fan book and soundtrack CD. Okay, edit. Just as I finished recording this, it looks as though there is going to be a European release, at least, by Limited Run's European partner Clear River Games. But hey, I'll just leave this Japanese version in here, because we don't know when that European one's coming, maybe like 3 years from now, who knows? Söldner-X Complete Collection is a Play Asia exclusive. This contains 2 side-scrolling shooters in one, X and X2. Opinions on these are divided, but I think it's a nice collection of shooters with a bit of meat to them, ones that you can replay, and it also includes all the previous DLC. As with all Play Asia exclusives, there's a standard edition as well as a collector's edition. Thunder Ray is also a Play Asia exclusive, and this will be a good one if you're wanting some gameplay similar to Punch-Out. I don't think there are enough games that copy that formula. I can only think of this one and Pato Box, which is another Play Asia exclusive that I really like. Tokyo Clanpool is probably the most high-profile Play Asia exclusive that they've yet to send out. This is a JRPG, one that was previously Japanese only and only on the Vita, but thanks to East Asia Soft, you can finally play this Compile Heart JRPG in English on your Switch. Zoetti is a turn-based roguelike that features deck building. Excuse me while I scream out of the window. My Chinese neighbors need to know I'm the only person on this planet who sees that indie games are just as creatively bankrupt as AAA games. Once again, this is very highly rated, don't listen to my frustration. And our executive producer, Vei, my man in Japan, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Kemco RPG Selection Volume 8 is sporting a pumpkin orange jacket, perfect for the autumn Halloween season. It's releasing October 31st and includes 4 more budgeted JRPGs in Monster Vieta, Crystal Author, Armed Emeth, and Justice Chronicles. And our executive producer, Issa, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. DreadOut Remastered Collection is releasing in Asian regions. This is a collection of 2 DreadOut games, DreadOut 1 and DreadOut Keepers of the Dark. Take photos of ghosts to combat them. Yeah, it's copying another franchise, but I rather liked DreadOut 2, so I'm looking forward to this when it releases sometime this year. The Town of Nie is only the second BL VN on the Switch that has an English physical release, or it will when it releases in September. Apparently this version will have new art from the original creator, and our executive producer Alexander Kato has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Alright, let's just go through a bunch more upcoming visual novel imports. I just released a massive 1 hour 40-minute video about visual novels over on Physical Paradise, so I'm very much VN'd out for a little bit, so let me just power through them. Ginka is a mystery VN as you go to an island where your childhood friend disappeared 5 years ago. You want to find out what happened? She can't have just spirited away, can she? This is coming in a standard and collector's edition on the same day as the Town of Nie in September. Symphonic Rain is finally getting a physical release. It's been on the Japanese eShop for about 6 years now, but the physical that's upcoming will supposedly also include English as a language option. This is supposed to be a very good VN. Steam Prison Beyond the Steam is the sequel to Steam Prison, which is also an import exclusive. This is an otome, and actually, okay, it's supposed to be a fan disc rather than a full-blown sequel, but fans of the original will probably want to take a look at this when it releases in November. Meiji Tokyo Renka Full Moon is another otome game, a pretty well-received one, but this will be the first time it will be in English when it releases in early October. Everlasting Flowers is a brand new VN, not one seen anywhere else before. We'll get to know if it's good or not when it releases at the end of August. Apparently, it's a Yuri VN. Shinjuku Soumei is going to be the least interesting VN import that's upcoming because it's the one with the lowest rating on VNDB. Apparently the English is laughably terrible, so you may want to avoid it, even though I think the visuals look fantastic and has a good premise. Who knows, maybe they'll fix the translation for the Switch release. Turrican Anthology Volume 1 and 2, these were supposed to have released already. I've talked about them before, but apparently they got pushed back to September. Here you get 10 games in the Turrican series, okay, lots of variations of the games, but really good stuff. I wish they were all on one cartridge though, come on guys. And our executive producer, Offone, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Inti Creates Gold Archive Collection will contain 3 games in one. You're gonna get Mighty Gunvolt and Mighty Gunvolt Burst, which I think I remember were 3DS download games. Very good if you wanted some classic Mega Man games at that point. Plus it also includes Puzz Mix, which is basically another one of those watermelon games. You know what I'm talking about. This is releasing next week. And our executive producer, Dane Wilkinson, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Bang on Balls Chronicles already got a release in Asian regions, but in Japan it's getting a release in September, and it's a bit more affordable due to, Japan's current economy. Grime is getting a physical release in Asian regions, that's despite Super Rare very recently doing their version of it. If you missed that, well, you can get a cheaper Japanese version at the end of November. Absolov End of Gods got a release in Asia already, but again there's a cheaper Japanese version coming at the end of September. Wolffang / Skullfang Saturn Tribute Boosted. I don't know if this has English or not, but I don't think it's important because this is just a couple of Sega Saturn shooters, but now with even more awesome music. I think it may get a Western physical, but nothing has been announced as of yet. And our executive producer, Robotech, has chosen this as his pick of the imports. Of course he has. Stray is getting a physical release in Japan and Asian regions in November. Now, there are some placeholder versions for America and Europe, but those are not official. However, I really do think there will be a North American physical, at least North America, because Devolver have recently been teasing an announcement, something to do with a collector's edition, and I expect Stray to be revealed for a physical on the Switch. If not, if it doesn't, well, get the Japanese version. Wizardry is a game that's getting a Japanese physical release. This is a remake of a classic RPG, and it will have English, although personally, I think Limited Run will do this in North America. In fact, it's almost certain, in my opinion, but nothing is truly certain, so we'll have to see. Okay, that's it. Those are all the upcoming imports. Let's move on to the community spotlight. I'm not stopping now. Executive producer Lewis K sent in this photo, picking up some really nice games, including the English import of Saga Emerald Beyond. I'm surprised I haven't seen too many people pick this one up, a JRPG from Square, an import with English. Super Ben Julio sent in this photo, picking up the Bitmap Bureau collection, which no matter how many times I've had to write that name down for various scripts, I have never spelt Bureau correctly the first time once. And even my spell checker has no idea what I'm trying to spell. Radio to Rancid picked up some sweet games, including Never Awake, which I think is a bit of a gem. Really nice import exclusive. I think the price has always been a bit higher than advised for a shooter, but I really like it. Cresselike sent in this photo, this time picking up the badass looking cover of Apex Heroines. A simple game, but fun if you don't want to think too much after a long day. Executive producer Cartoon Soren showed off this picture with the reversible cover of Langrissa, which I think looks a lot better than the standard cover. More original art style when anime was far more cool. VGP still have copies of this one if you need it. Yusha sent in this photo with a favorite of mine, Signalis. Great sci-fi horror game if you want some old school Resident Evil. Executive producer Precision Plague sent in this photo with the Pixel Popes collection. 3 visual novel type games, very stylistic and oozes atmosphere. I don't know if they're any good, but they look great and I really want it. Executive producer Offone sent in this photo picking up Bo and Shim, or is it Skim, which looks like it came with a pre-order bonus soundtrack CD and a condom, apparently. I wish you the best of luck in its usage. Executive producer Vei, my man in Japan, spending the big bucks on these gorgeous Japanese collector's editions for some convenience store, Lost Epic and Review Starlight. Japanese always getting the awesome artwork. Skip to the End. Don't skip to the end, that's his name. They managed to get RZ from Limited Run. I know, I actually really want this. I guess I'll have to wait until Video Games Plus gets some copies and I reluctantly hand over the cash for it. Executive producer Instacritic sent in this photo picking up a street cat's tail, a lovely little double pack for all you cat enthusiasts out there. Try not to let them die. Alright, let's have a roundup. Choco Loco James, Fairy Gaming 24/7, Andrew R, Kevin D, Kevin W, Paul S, Theo, Ashura G, Adamantium, Gundam Wing Zero, Martin, Mickey McFlynn, Mr. Matt Hobb, Morality. Alright, please send me your pictures in the usual places. You can send it on Twitter if you DM me. If you can, I don't know if you can't. If you can't, you can send it an email, switchwatchspotlight@gmail.com. And of course, our Discord. The server link should be in the description. As always, special thanks to our executive producers Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Boombox, Brent McLean, Alexander Cato, JCross7776, Punky Dooster, Cartoon Soren, Robotech, Raven Knight, Thorn Metal Luna, Issa, Vey, Offphone, Instacritic, Precision Plague, Alex M, Feig, Josh Foot, Ishin, Viz, and Lewis K. Plus you, yeah, you watching right now. If you watched all the way through, what an absolute legend you are. If you did, please leave me a cow emoji in the comments. Why? I don't know, maybe Harvest Moon. Please go check out some of our other stuff. Please check out some of my other stuff. Go to Physical Paradise. Had lots of videos up there last week. Lots of good stuff, lots of information, new announcements, reprint announcements, good stuff, okay? Please go watch it. And my other channel, A Bit More Jordan, for retro game retrospectives. Of course, my big giant 12-hour Star Wars retrospective. Please go watch that if you have 12 hours to spare. If you don't, just an hour, that's okay too, yeah? Alright, have a good day guys, take care.